Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. We've got a brand new week on us, and I'm super excited because we have, it's actually a new week, a new quarter. We're going to be launching our academy. We've got some amazing guests this week. You'll be hearing from some musicians, from some business owners, individuals that I've kind of hand selected. But today we're going to dive into a powerful concept that can really transform the way you see your life. And I like to call it crafting the story of your life. You see, most people go through life as if it's happening to them, when the truth is life is happening through you and for you. And you're the one writing the script. The question is, are you writing the story that you actually want to be in? That's the thought I want to leave you with and get you started with today. So today I want to step back, just reflect a little. I want you to start creating a powerful narrative that aligns with your purpose. So let's jump into this. I remember a few years ago, I found myself feeling stuck. And if you're like most people, this probably happens every once in a while in your life. But from the outside, and I can tell you this, I say this with a lot of humility. Everything looked fine from the outside. Business was going good. I had projects, income, opportunities. But inside, I knew I wasn't living with the level of passion and purpose that I really wanted to live with. And I had created a life, but it wasn't the life that I knew I was capable of. I don't know if you can relate to that or not. That's when I really sat down and I began asking myself a question. In fact, I think it was Chris Williamson. I'd heard a podcast he had where he said something, but it basically boiled down to this. If my life were a movie, and in the middle of the movie you were looking at this, you yourself, someone else, would you even really want to watch that movie? Would you feel like you were in the movie you wanted to be in? Would that story inspire you? Would you be proud of the character that you were playing? This question really opened this door to me that sort of shifted the way I view my life. And I've had this happen before because Robert Stuberg, one of my mentors, has talked to me about this in the past. He's when he was alive, he used to say, "You can craft your story. Every great story is something that you've got to remind yourself has a narrative, but that narrative is something that you get to create. It's something that you have the ability to write, to direct, to be in." And it was super important that you ask yourself, are you doing that? So there's a real power in storytelling in your life. Here's the truth. Every great story follows a structure. And there's a power in having that structure and understanding it, which is why I want to talk to you about that today. There's always a beginning, a middle, sort of a climax, and a resolution. And every great character in a story, every great movie that you've probably seen, that character grows, they transform, and they overcome all kinds of obstacles. And instead of feeling like you're in the movie, if you actually step back for a minute and we start looking at our lives this way, things can change. We stop blaming circumstances and we start taking ownership. We stop drifting and we start designing. And if you can think of your life like a movie, you actually can create the life and the movie that you were meant to live, the one you want to live. I want to just take a minute and I want to walk you through what one of my mentors walked me through a while back. And it was a 7-part structure that, I've used this personally and I teach it inside some of my, high net worth mentoring. But it's a way to take control of your life, and I say that loosely, and craft your story. And what it breaks down to is there are 7 elements of a truly meaningful story. I'm not talking about the hero's journey, and there's some elements of that. I'm talking about if you were to create and write the script of a story that you would want to be in, one that you would get compelled to watch, they would have these 7 elements. And when you understand them, you can craft the best story of your life. So let's go through them real quick. Element number 1 is the desire. Every story starts with a desire. What do you really want? In the beginning of my journey, I thought I just wanted, freedom. So money would buy me my time and things like this. But what I really wanted was fulfillment, purpose. I wanted to make an impact. So ask yourself, what's your desire? And is it really yours? Or are you trying to create and follow a desire that was given to you by someone else? I want you to think about that. Step 2, or element number 2, is the problem. So desire always meets resistance. That's just the facts of life. I've had plenty of problems in my life, doubt, financial stress, financial failures. But one of my biggest problems was not having clarity. I was busy, but not productive. I was chasing things that didn't align with what my real goals were. So, what's the obstacle that's standing between you and your ideal life? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's a lack of direction. Maybe it's imposter syndrome. Maybe it's lack of resources, but maybe it's not resourcefulness. Think about that. And so you've got this desire and you've got problems that come up, but the third element that's going to happen is you got to have a plan. So once we see the problem, we need a strategy. For me, my plan became clear when I stopped reacting and started creating a blueprint, a vision for my brand, my life, my contribution. That's when I started designing and I created the Daily Mastermind. I created my company, Authority Media Network, and the systems that I'm scaling with. That's my blueprint. So, what's your plan? Are you being intentional? Do you know what your plan is? Or are you just winging it every day? The plan is a critical component of a great story. The fourth element is the opponents. Now, here's where it gets real opponents, right? In my journey, I've dealt with external opponents like market shifts and doubters and even friends that didn't get it. Internal opponents, you got your fear, your imposter syndrome, your perfectionism, your experience, which sometimes helps you and sometimes hurts you. And then you've got, intimate components and opponents like balancing business with relationships and family and your desire to do more for the people you care about. Your opponents are part of your story. You've got to understand who and what they are. Don't ignore them, learn from them. Sometimes the opponents is actually what's shaping you into the hero you're becoming. It's like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger always talk about they needed some opponent, some, competitiveness. And that's an important element. The fifth element is the battle. This is where most people get stuck, right? I've been in battles mentally, emotionally, financially, when it felt like nothing was working. I was grinding and questioning, and everything seemed to be going wrong. But what I've learned is this: the battle is just a battle. It's not the end. The battle, listen to me here, the battle in your story is the turning point. Your battles are meant to test your commitment, to prove you're serious, and to refine your character. It's the battle that refines your character. You've got to know that. And then you move into this element, the sixth element of the resolution. This is where clarity comes. Now, for me, resolution came when I realized that what I do is not nearly as important as who I become. You remember that quote I tell you all the time from Jim Rohn that says, success is not to be pursued, it's to be attracted by the person you become. Success isn't going to get you what you want. Becoming the person is. And so that success isn't always a destination. It's how you align your feelings with your purpose. And I stopped chasing these goals for ego's sake, but by pursuing them to give me the desire I want and the peace. So I'll ask you, what lesson in your life are you learning right now? What's life trying to teach you right now? This is where your clarity comes in, the resolution. And then that final seventh element is the celebration. And I honestly feel like this one's easily forgot. We don't celebrate the little wins. So if you're trying to train your mind to be successful and you never celebrate the successes because you're always chasing that destination, you're not incorporating the celebrations in your life. We wait for that someday to celebrate. But I've learned to find joy in the process. Every win, every step forward is a celebration. Celebrate showing up. I can't tell you how many times I had to just recognize and accept that showing up to the gym in the morning was a celebration. And you know what I mean. Here's a powerful phrase. What if your entire life became a celebration of growth and purpose? Wouldn't that be amazing? So these are these elements that when you start to learn, like the desire, the problem, the plan, the opponents, the battle, the resolution, the celebration, all of a sudden your mind in your life, takes on new meaning. You're writing and crafting this story. You're trying to figure out how to get things and go to the next level. Now, it's going to take you a few mindset shifts. I'll just mention this. It's going to take you a few mindset shifts to really embrace this. So let me break down a few takeaways for you on this whole story of your life concept. Number one, You can edit your life at any time. Think about that. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you can edit your life just like a movie script. You can cut scenes, you can rewrite characters, you can go back and give meaning to things in the past that don't serve you and start fresh at any time. Number two, struggle is not the end. If you're in a battle, this just means you're in the middle of your story. A battle, even if you've lost a particular battle, it's not the end of your story. You've got to remind yourself of that. And finally, success might look different than you think. Fame and fortune are great, but fulfillment, freedom, and impact last longer. So be careful what you define as your success of your story, because it's really important that you recognize that not only might you be doing it wrong, but as you progress in your life, you might look back and think, man, I wish I had kind of seen what I was missing there. So do me a favor here. This is this concept of the story of your life that I wanted to kind of really hit front and center. Joe Rogan has talked about it. I've talked about it in past podcasts. If you were in the story of your life, what would you want it to be? Would you like the story you're watching? Just know that you have the power to change it. So what is your current desire? Does it align with what your values are? What chapter are you in your life? Are you stuck? Are you rising? Are you rebuilding? Are you finding clarity? What part of your life needs to be edited? What part of your life do you need to right now pull out a journal and craft the narrative of what that event did for you, not to you? And what will be the next chapter of your story? What's it going to be called? You know, I'm in the process of writing some books that will culminate into this idea that we all have a part of our life that evolves, and then we unleash our potential and build legacy. And these three things are ways that I'm defining my story. How are you defining your story? So here's the key takeaway, and then I'll let you go. You're the writer, you're the director, you're the lead actor, and no matter what's happened before, you get to decide what the ending is going to be, but only if you start to design your life. The life you are meant to live is on the other side of clarity and courage and just taking action. And so I hope that this message today at the beginning of the week just inspires you to take some action and to evaluate proactively the way you want to see your story, the way you define your story has been, and what the next chapter is going to be. That's my message for you today. I hope you'll do me a favor and let me know what you're up to. Hit me up on the Daily Mastermind. Go over to dailymastermind.com, send me a message, and share this show. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it if you share the show, and tag me in it so I can see what you're up to. And I'll look forward to talking with you soon. Once again, this has been the Daily Mastermind. Have a great day.